Hi, everyone. Billy Trossio and Chad Burton here from Modern Law Practice. Hey, Billy, how's it going today?
Going,
Is it going?
going.
Day after Memorial Day,
Right.
busy.
Busy, 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 busy.
Yeah, so what's new? Anything exciting today?
Yes, the lease has been signed for the new retail space.
Cool, which we talked about, I don't know, a few weeks ago or so. So that's happened.
Yeah,
I think
today.
at the time it was just today. Cool. When does that start?
Today.
No, I get that, but are you opening for business today or?
No, but so this whole process has been so different from entering into other lease agreements. The lease was different. It's like take it or leave it. There's no negotiating. The term is different. All the provisions are different. And then they gave it to me basically over the weekend to start today. And when I reached back and I'm like, hey, we can't start today. She's like,
Right.
I gave you a month free, so we could go back to the bureaucracy that could get us a new lease, but by the time we do that, like you should probably just take it. And I'm like, okay, so now I have a space.
Yay, congratulations.
Painters and plumbers and tile people, and so that's what's new.
Cool. Well, let's, you know, lots more to cover on that. Maybe we can do check-ins as it's progressing, and then we'll do another kind of full discussion on it, once you're up and running. Um, but today, I think we want to talk about a recent team member
Mhm.
that has left and kind of the things going surround lessons learned, kind of what's going to happen forward. So going forward. So first of all, maybe give some background as to what happened here.
Yeah, so I think we touched on this a little while ago,
We know
but people leave.
we're really good at cliffhangers for in little episodes.
Yeah,
Touch on it and then come back.
right. So a longtime associate, somebody who has been with my firm for 7 years, who started as a law student, um, and has now been an attorney for 5 or 6 years, gave notice that he was going out on his own with his two friends. Um, and that was 2 weeks ago. So,
Yep.
yeah, it was major. It was major for the whole firm.
And how so? So I mean, sometimes somebody leaves, you're indifferent. Sometimes you're happy that they've decided to move on. Sometimes you're not. How did this one play out?
Well, I wasn't entirely surprised, although the timing was a little surprising, but I had known for years this person, was interested in owning. And at one point he asked me for ownership in modern law. And we talked about, what that would entail. And it was pretty obvious that it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for the organization. It
Right.
didn't make sense for him financially. So it would be, I was not entirely shocked to have him give notice. Um, and it was very different from other people who had left because he had been such a huge part of the firm and was so committed to the firm even to the end. So we really used his departure as an opportunity to set the standard for departure, what departure would look like. And we'd already started talking about that concept because turnover is so hard on law firms.
Right.
And the discussion came up because we were looking at our MPS scores at the last quarterly retreat. And much of the feedback had been, I was passed around to attorneys. And so we were really talking as an organization about what can we do to minimize the impact to our organization long term when people leave. And much of that was from the client perspective because we're dealing with, angry client feedback. And so we had already
Right.
started talking about, okay, what should the process be like when somebody gives notice, should we immediately assign them to an attorney? Should we tell them that they're going to have a joint meeting that's free? And so we had started to come up with protocol, but then we really got to execute that protocol with Darren leaving.
Okay. And so how did it go? I mean, it this is the first go round. I mean, let's just start here, like for fun. Like scale 1 to 10, how would you rate the departure? 10 being smooth as ice, one being a shit show. Like, how would you rate it?
I would rate it a 10. Like,
really? Well, hold on. No.
In my 11 years, I've never had a departure go so smoothly on
There's
every single level.
On what?
On every level. So usually there's massive impact to clients, massive impact to team, massive instability that ripples throughout everything, and we didn't have that.
Okay. All right. In fact, all right, I'll accept it, especially because we'll accept that. Okay. So
you have perspective. What's your perspective?
Well, no. I mean, it's just like that's tough because like you're losing somebody good that you liked, like that has to knock it. Like there's some element to that. That's not a neutral person leaving. You're losing somebody that has skills because you've kept him around and he stayed for 6 or 7 years. Like, so if you're ranking it just on like the idea that, it wasn't problematic, fine, but you still lost somebody. Like losing somebody has some effect on it.
Sure. Well, I guess I interpreted your question as a little bit more technically. Like as far as a technical departure goes, I think it went as perfectly as it possibly could.
Okay, as it could. Okay. And do you think if you asked other team members that, he had a paralegal he worked with, office manager, everybody like that, do you think they'd feel the same?
I don't know. I mean, I should ask them. It was a great opportunity to work together with the departing lawyer who is invested in modern law to think about, like, before we told the team, he and I got on the same as to what our messaging would be to our team internally. And then before we told the clients, he and I got together to come up with a letter we both agreed upon that gave people so much information. Deadlines. Here's what happens if you don't respond by a certain deadline. It was much more structured than any departure we had ever done in the past. And we worked cooperatively together on it because it was very important to him to leave with a good relationship. His dad still works for me. His dad is our.
Yeah. So yeah, there's lots of dynamics there for sure. So, okay. And okay, so you implement a new process. Would anything you would change going forward from what you did this time?
The only thing I would change is that since I'm going to have every attorney sign a new employment agreement that sets out exactly how they are expected to leave, what the expectation is, who they can contact, what information they can take from the firm, what information I'm required to give them and when. So that they know exactly what's expected of them. And the only thing I'm going to change that I didn't get to do with Darren is I'm going to include that they have to pay me a percentage of any revenue of any client they take, because now that is allowed in Arizona.
So that's fun. So that's a little different. But most people watching this will have to, wait until their state catches up. But that's because Arizona got rid of the fee splitting rule. So
right. And it's really interesting. So previously there had been an ethics opinion, an attorney, a firm had written an agreement with an attorney that required the lawyer to pay them $3,500 for every client they took with them. And the ethics committee said no for a variety of reasons. Not that that sort of arrangement is per se unacceptable, but that then the amount was too much for smaller clients and that it could interfere with the ability of the client to really choose where they were going. By putting it on as a percentage, it's really much more palatable, I think, for the lawyer. And I mean, I would like to be compensated. So he ended up taking the vast majority of his clients because he did a very, very good job of talking to them in advance, maybe not about his departure, but doing a very, very good job of taking care of them before he left. And that's okay, because now I don't have another lawyer that's being dumped all of those cases and getting up to speed, and the unhappy clients who are passed off. Like, honestly, it's probably the best possible scenario, but it would be better if I was getting a percentage.
Right. Because yeah, absolutely. And so the difference, kind of going back, so the previous firm, when they said, so they were basically saying, if you take a client, it's $3,500, even if, like, let's say the total fees were like $2,000,
Sure.
Like you'd have to pay 3,500. So it's not in proportion to what they're paying is
Right.
what the deal is. Okay. Makes sense. So that's one thing you would change. Anything else that you would do differently going forward?
I mean, so I also threw him a going away party, which is
Right.
not something that I've ever done before, but it was appropriate in this circumstance. Like this attorney had invested so much in my firm and had made my firm so much better. And no doubt we had helped him in the same way become
Right.
a great attorney and better than he would ever be. And it was appropriate to leave on that note and send him off in that way. It wouldn't always be appropriate, but we did it, and all of the long-term employees came. And I think that all of us, for many of us who've worked with this person who we love and care about, it's a loss. And so being able to have that, joint party and say, we love you and we wish you well, and I invited his new partners, was a good thing. I had a one-on-one with an employee just today who said, Billy, that really showed a lot about your character. Like the fact that you would celebrate somebody who was leaving, not just take us on cruises, means a lot.
Right. That's funny. But so they're not advocating to get rid of the cruises. They're saying it's nice on top of that. So
Right.
they're still good with that. That's right.
No direct benefit to me in throwing Darren a party, except that there is.
Right. There is a lot. Yeah.
There
For the
is.
people, well, one, because you want a good relationship with Darren, there obviously would be. And, that's, it's not like he's going to be able to like really compete with you, but that's fine. That's a different issue. But then but it keeps everything good. And then, everybody that's still there sees it. And
Right.
quite frankly, it gave everybody a chance to get together, which, happens more frequently with the world coming back, but it still doesn't happen like normal. So it's another good opportunity for people to get together, have drinks, go to dinner, do whatever. So it's not a bad thing.
It was good.
Good. Anything else that, is worth kind of covering on this that you've learned from the experience?
Well, I think the employment agreement and having a policy for how lawyers leave should cover a lot of things. It should say, so our letter to clients said specifically, Darren is leaving. Here's where he's going. Here's where his new office will be. Here's his new hourly rate. You have a deadline of X to tell us if you want to transfer with him. If you want to transfer with him, he will take your file. He will file a change of firm with the court, and we will transfer your trust fund or give it back to you as you decide. If you stay with Modern Law, you will be designated another attorney. Here's the default attorney unless you pick somebody else. You will have a meeting that is free of charge to make sure that everybody's up to date and on the same page. The outgoing attorney will do a strategy memo with with a current status update and all issues moving forward. The hourly rate of the new attorney will not be raised from Darren's hourly rate. We will honor that new hourly rate. So a ton of information.
It's a lot.
So much information. If we do not hear back from you on a specific date, you will be transferred within the firm. So what this does just tells everybody, here are the rules. Here is the structure.
How did it work with the clients? I mean, from a, standpoint of like, was it clear enough for people? Did people feel overwhelmed with the information? Was it useful for them? What was the feedback so far?
Much better than any other departure we've had previously. Now, many people did not respond, and Darren reached out to them individually to make sure that they'd gotten the letter. And he did this with my knowledge and permission. Like I wasn't chasing down these clients.
Right.
And very few of them stayed with us. But the clients were less upset. The clients were less confused. I got fewer emails that was like, what is happening with my case? How could you do this to me in the middle of my case? We're so close.
Right.
Like I've gotten so many of those emails whenever a lawyer said they were leaving. People are just like upset. And there was a lot less of that because we were giving them more information.
Right. I mean, it would be more entertaining if the scene was he comes to your office, tells you, and then you're both scrambling for the phone, dialing numbers as quickly as possible. I think there's like several movies with that, but I assume you could out dial him anyway, so that would have been fine.
Oh, right. Like that is the worst. So I think having he and I be on the same page, and it was very clear in this letter, like we are writing this to you jointly. We are working together jointly. Our priority is you. You have choices. We don't care which way you go. Here's what happens if you choose A. Here's what happens if you choose B. Like, and no matter what you choose, we will work together to make it work for you.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, that's exciting. I mean, sucks that he left, but it is what it is. It sounds like you've got a new process. The new attorneys, or I'm sorry, the existing attorneys know this employment agreement's coming.
Well, I mean, it's something that we talked about at that retreat when we decided, hey, we need to have a protocol. They don't exactly know it's coming.
So we'll find out if anybody watches the videos or not on YouTube.
Right. I think they know it's coming, and like it really is fair. The thing that I most wanted to demonstrate from Darren and I's breakup is that there is a right way to do things, the same way there's a right way to ideally get divorced, you know, where everybody works together and looks out for each other's interests and keeps in mind their kids. Like that's what we did. And
Right.
if we can now enter into a post-nup with my current attorneys
Right.
to tell them here's what's expected in the event that you leave, and it's fair to everybody, and when we talk about it in advance, I mean, honestly, your people are probably going to leave you. Probably your people are not going to work for you for the rest of their lives.
Right.
If we assume that that's true, then that means they're going to leave, and you're better off thinking about it right now and coming up with something that works for everybody.
So assuming none of them watch this video, what if they refuse the percentage upon exit? What happens then?
You mean they sign the contract but then never pay?
Well, no, not that. You give them the employment agreement, say, hey, look, you have to sign this, to continue to work here. And if you leave and you take clients, you have to give me a percentage of those. And let's say somebody comes back and says, no, I won't, I'm not going to sign that. I'm not going to agree to that.
I guess what I would ask them is like, what percentage do you think is fair?
Yeah.
I mean, you know that I'm investing a ton in training, in marketing, in, supporting you as you support these clients and developing you as a human. Like what percentage is fair?
Well, here's the deal. Arizona changed their rules January 1, but I don't like it. I think it's BS. I don't think lawyers should fee split. So the percentage should be 0. I don't think you have an answer, but that may be a case by case scenario, but that will be interesting.
I don't think anybody would do that.
I know, but they might.
They certainly would if I wait until we're breaking up.
Well, you got to do it now, right? I understand. Right now it's fine, but they also may just be like, "No way! I'm morally opposed to the rule changes, but I get that they're there."
I don't think you can work for modern law and be morally opposed to the rule changes.
All right.
Of every rule change.
I'm pretty sure you have one that hates it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll just see if we have an answer. But that's probably a case by case scenario.
I guess I'll let you know, but I don't think it's
gonna happen. Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. Anything else before we part ways, Billy?
The only thing I kind of want to talk about at some point is so I've got a job posting out there and I've got a signing bonus on it. And I want to talk about that because it's not something that I'd seen before, but it's been really effective at attracting talent. And so I think it's worth chatting about.
Okay. Maybe we can do that next week unless something else better comes up.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, cool. Thanks, everyone.